Hi folks, and welcome back to Take Me to Your Paradise. We're live here in the Morven Lounge, JP, and I'm joined this morning Mr. Alan Stirling and man himself. It's good to get you in person, mate, Mr. Barry McCannis. I'm sure some of you have seen Barry before on the channel. How are you, mate? It's good to get you here.
Great to be here. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff.
This is my first time in the presence of you guys doing the pod, so I'm sure that'll bring a wee bit of a different conversation. So looking forward to it.
It's always good to get a new face with us, Alan, isn't it? I hope you're well as well, mate.
Aye, no, of course, especially when he's brought half the coffee beans from Brazil. So,
yes.
Aye, no, it's brilliant to see Barry in person and kind of get a wee chat, obviously here in the Morven. So, I'm looking forward to a wee chat today and talk about all things Celtic.
Yeah, and as Alan says here, we are live in the Morven Lounge. Thank you again to the staff for allowing us in to do this. Lads, I thought it would be nice for us to get together today to have a wee chat on a couple of things. So one being the way Celtic have went about this Champions League campaign. First of all, Alan, obviously the new Champions League format. Are you liking it? Do you like the setups? I've heard mixed stories and mixed kind of noises about it from people. I personally like it, but obviously I want to get your thoughts first and foremost on the new format, and then obviously we'll go on and we'll have a chat how Celtic and how you feel Celtic are adapting to the new setup.
I think we like it this year because of we've had a very kind draw, shall we say. I think there's other clubs that are maybe no appreciating the new format to the Champions League because they've maybe been on the other side. They've had maybe a bad draw, but this is probably one of the kindest draws we've had in a number of years. I like the new format, the way it sits just now. I think it gives the kind of smaller teams more of a chance of seeing that, with the likes of kind of, I'm not saying they're small sides, but you're seeing kind of Monaco and Brest up near the top of this table just now. Yeah. So the way the format looks just now, obviously it's in its inaugural year, shall we say. So we'll probably need a broader base to judge it over the next few years. But for me, just now, looking at it, first 4 games, I like it. Yeah. I think it's a good change. There's no many times in football that you think, oh, why have they changed that? Why just leave it how it is? But I think this might be quite a positive change for the format, because I think it's probably more exciting and gives the other teams more of a chance, in my opinion. Yeah,
and obviously yourself, Baz, how are you feeling in terms of the format itself? They've obviously done the same with the Europa League and the conference as well. Do you quite like that idea? Obviously Alan touches on there, other teams are now getting an opportunity. The way I see it is Celtic are, you know, they're only getting to play these teams once, so they're having a slightly different approach to something. Look at the Atalanta game. If we were, you know, we might have went about that differently again if we were playing them at Celtic Park. Who knows? I don't know. But how are you feeling yourself on the new format of the Champions League?
I think Alan summarised it well, to be fair. I think the first thing is you get 2 extra games, so that's a good thing straight away.
Financially.
Financially, yeah, and gives you more to get your teeth into as a fan, you know, and it's all separate games as well. Yeah. So you're not playing a home leg and an away leg, you're playing. So I like the variety, and I think this season it's brought a wee bit of fun as well. Yeah. You know, there's the anticipations there, like all the different games you're going to play. And as Alan said, I think it's definitely, to some extent, a leveler. You know, I don't think you'll ever level the Champions League out just because of the money involved, but you're definitely seeing other clubs with lower budgets that wee bit more competitive, and hope's a big thing in any sport. See if you've got hope, you get into games with that different mentality, and the fans do as well. And with this format and how it's laid out, I think we've all went into it that wee bit more hopeful, and you can see that with some of the other clubs that are doing well. So, now for me, it's been a breath of fresh air, really. And it's hard to judge, you know, it's hard to say if it was the same format as it's always been, would Celtic still be in such a good position as they are this year? That's one that's probably quite hard to answer, but certainly if you're doing as well as we're doing in it now, be hard to say anything other than positive about it so far anyway.
I think you're looking at the opposite as well, just coming into my head, sorry there, but you look at Leipzig, right, they were a pot one side. See if it remained the same format, do you think Leipzig would be on 0 points after 4 games?
No.
I think that's very doubtful if you're playing the way the format was. The teams in pot 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. If it was last year's format, I don't see Leipzig on 0 points.
Yeah.
Because they've had an unfavourable side of the draw.
Yeah.
And obviously they've been whipped a bit off of us, that makes it a wee bit better. But I think that probably would have been different if it was the old format. So I think it does kind of level out the playing field a bit when you look at kind of pot 1 sides on 0 points, as we speak just now.
You have to look at it also, lads, that, you know, take Celtic for instance, the draw has been really favourable. I mean, you look at the teams that we've drawn, the teams we've got at Celtic Park, in the old format, that's never going to happen. Because you're going to get pot 1 and pot 2, two absolute belters coming to Celtic Park, and you're probably going to be hanging in there to try and get a result. Whereas you've drew, okay, we got Leipzig, we knew that was going to be a difficult game. They are a good side, they're a top side. They only conceded 5 goals up until when we played them. We put 3 past them on the night. Nobody's seen that coming. And you look at the older format, you're playing home and away, but you're getting somebody like Real Madrid and Man City. So, you know, Baz, it's kind of, it's mental, the fact that we've got Club Brugge, Young Boys of Bern, Slovan Bratislava, and Leipzig all at Celtic Park. That's never been heard of before.
Yeah, no, it's probably the key point in our Champions League campaign this season, that the home games were very favourable. Other than, and now listen, we've still got to go and win these games, and none of them are going to be easy. But we've made a fantastic start. My first home game, obviously beating, I can't even remember.
Slovan Bratislava.
Yeah, and we all expected, you know, to beat them, but we beat them well. Yeah. But to go and beat Leipzig in the manner that we've done it as well, it gives you credible hope going into these other games that, without being arrogant, you would expect now to go and win these games.
You look at the next 3 games we've got, these 3 teams are 25th and below. They're in the low qualify point. You're looking at the next 3 games we've got, the teams,
There's
I'm
Club
sure.
Brugge in there, they've got a point, so haven't they?
I'm sure they're 27th.
Are they?
I'm sure 26th,
right, okay.
27th. They're all in that point that you're not in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure somebody maybe will correct me, but
if someone in the comments knows, can you put it in?
I'm 90% sure that the 3 next games, they're all in the bottom side of that table just now. So it's just, as you touched upon as well, when you look, see if we would have got Dortmund last year, just Dortmund though, taking into account a kind of pot 2 side, the minute that if you get beat home and away, what chances have you got to qualifying?
Yeah,
really?
I know.
That's it. It's basically you need to be near perfect after that to qualify. But whereas we've been beat off of Dortmund just now in the one-off game, and we've still got a massive, massive opportunity to qualify. So that new format it gives you that extra bit of freedom as well. You can have 1 or 2 slip-ups and still have a massive opportunity to kind of progressing. So for me, it's always positive.
And see on that, like you're saying opportunity now, but we've probably put ourselves in a position now where
very
we
favourable.
reasonably expect now to qualify. And do you know something? All being well, we could qualify comfortably, because those 3 home games, they're all very winnable.
Yeah.
And the form we're in, the way we beat Leipzig, you would get into these games expecting to win them, which...
Would you say the expectancies change, though, from this Leipzig performance?
Definitely.
Because obviously now the fans are going to be looking, going, well, hold on a minute, we've went there, we've turned this mob over, spanked our bottoms, sent them home, and now we're looking into the next games going, we're going to be winning these.
Yeah. One game at a time. Obviously, we'll get Bruges, and then I think the away game against Zagreb, that could be difficult. I would probably be looking at it just now on paper. You'd be probably happy coming out of that with a draw. I fully anticipate that we will try and get the win, because I don't think they're out with the realms of possibility for us to achieve 3 points from them. Then you're kind of looking at Young Boys at home as well. That's definitely a game that we should be winning. I'm sure that they're at second bottom of the table. So obviously the Villa game, the Battle of Britain, that's a game that will be extremely difficult. I think we've spoken about it in depth of how much I kind of admire the job that Unai Emery's done at Villa. It's taken them for kind of, you're looking at the Villa the past years, they're always kind of floating about, kind of mid-table or nearer the bottom of the Premier League. He's managed to get them into a kind of Champions League spot, and they've done really well, apart from maybe the last game against Bruges in the Champions League this year. And some of the players are really impressive. I've watched them a few times. The type of football that Emery's playing at is pretty good in my opinion. And you look at Emery as well, his record over the last number of years in European competitions, he always seems to find a way to win these kind of games, whether that be with different sides, but he's got a very, very good record when it comes to European competition.
What about yourself in terms of Celtic's overall performance levels? Obviously from the older version of the Champions League to now, have you seen a difference?
Taking all the games into account, out with Dortmund, which everything went wrong on that night. I think Brendan's alluded to it, you know, the goals went in fast and furious, 2 penalties, you know, and then, you know, his sort of analysis was that the team started to play individually, so that collective system.
As individually, do you think the team then was, every one of them were poor on the night?
I don't think anybody got past marks in Dortmund, but I think football is always about how you react to that, and a reaction to that, to go away to Atalanta and perform the way we did, switch it up the way we did, which I'm not sure many people thought Brendan was capable of doing that. So to go and be, you know, that buzzword, pragmatic and defensive, and says a lot. And then the performances after that, excuse me, especially Leipzig. I think what you saw in the game against Leipzig was when everything clicks for Celtic and everybody's playing to the standard, we're capable of playing Champions League football. We're capable of playing that, you know, the ball at the back, combination football, patterns of play, being clinical at the top end of the pitch. So if that Leipzig performance and result is anything to go by, if the players can maintain that through the rest of the fixtures that we've got, I think we're going to have a lot of fun nights to come. Yeah,
no doubt. For me, Celtic have improved, but Alan, I think that's a massive way that Celtic have improved is because they've kept the nucleus of the side together for now a number of seasons. So they've all gained experience together, they've gained losses together. I know some of them have been heavy losses, but they've gained the losses together. They've learned from their mistakes, in my opinion, from the Dortmund game, to taking into the last couple of games where they have humongously, night and day, improved.
You're looking at the last number of years, did we expect kind of any Celtic manager, including Brendan, to kind of set up the way he did against Atalanta? We were all shouting it, we were all saying the pragmatism, we were all saying that we can't go toe to toe with these teams. We need to find a different method, a different way that we can achieve a point, or whether that be 3 points. So I think that is a massive step in the right direction, the way that we set up against Atalanta. You're taking into account over the last couple of years that maybe the squad depth wasn't, in my opinion, squad depth wasn't as good as it is just now. I think obviously Brendan's come in, he's noticed that the transfers maybe got a bit stagnant for a year and a half or such. He's brought in a new team by the looks of it, so he's taking more to do with that. And you look at the kind of squad, the players that he's brought in the summer and maybe January last year, when you look at Nicholas Quinn as well. So when Brendan's come in, he's obviously changed that up. That is shown with the depth of the squad that we've got in a lot of different areas. There is a lot of times that we're kind of perplexed thinking about what starting 11 it's going to be. There is lots of times that it's different, whereas maybe in years gone past it would have been directly this 11 all the time. I think we will still continue to improve in that. We have kind of noticed there is a couple of positions that we might need a wee bit more depth, strength and depth in. But I've got full confidence that Brendan and whoever's behind him and the recruitment team will be looking to sort that in January or that be the summer. But I think that's a big deal to do with as well, because that depth in your squad, it means that maybe the game before or the game after the European games, we can maybe a bit of rotation, and that means we're strongest possible 11 that we've got, and the subs that are coming on are in the best place possible to achieve the best result for the team and the club.
Yeah, do you see a similarity in your view with what Alan was saying there in terms of the team and the way they're going?
Definitely the squad strength, and it's not just about the numbers, it's the competition that's there.
Yeah.
And as Alan said there, their Valle started at Hampden against Aberdeen, but didn't play against Leipzig. Yeah. And that had nothing to do with form, because Valle was excellent in that game. Yeah. And Brendan was asked in his interview before that game, and he said it's tactical. Yeah. We think Taylor suits this game. So for us, that's a luxury. That's a luxury for us to be able to do that, to be able to go to our squad and select players for a specific game. We've done it with Ida at the weekend there. It didn't go as well as it had done last year when Ida came into that fixture. But the ability to do that, the ability to look at your squad and go, right, what do we need for this particular game? And then to be able to rest players is key for Celtic, because we play a lot of games and we're involved in every competition domestically. I'm sure the aim, because Brendan's track record with trebles, I'm sure the aim is to go and get a treble. And for that, he needs squad, but he needs quality. And for me, the main thing is the competition, because if you've got players who know there's other guys there capable of playing in their position and capable of playing it well, you just have to be razor sharp. There's no days off. And for me, that's probably one of the most important things in football, the competition.
You look at the amount of permutations you've got in that midfield as well. Yeah. Like many times if we went that Hatate, or is it going to be Engels? Is it going to be Bernardo? Is McCowan going to get a start? You look at obviously Cal McGregor. He's that kind of that focal point. That's always going to be the main player that plays. But out with that, there's been a few times this season that we've all got our kind of personal choices of who we think's the best midfield three. But I don't think there's a great deal between them. When you're looking at last year, and you're looking at, as much as I thought Awata was a very decent player and really let you down a great deal, Awata, Home, are they really up to the levels that we've got as backup now in squad rotation? I think we've improved massively. As we've touched upon before, there is a couple of areas in the park that we can maybe improve our squad depth, maybe right back, the wing positions, I think. But when you look at the majority of the squad depth we've got at present, I think it is a major improvement from what we've seen in the last few years.
Well, can I ask you this? See, when you talk about your best 11 or those different combinations you can play in midfield, are you of the mindset now that it actually is dependent on the game? Because I don't have a favourite midfield trio.
Because do you not?
I don't think so, because I look at it and I think, well, Bernardo for me brings something different to a game than what Hatate does. So I actually thought Bernardo would have got the nod against Kilmarnock over Hatate, just because he'd played two back-to-back 90-odd minutes, and I thought Bernardo's physicality against Kilmarnock would have helped. Now, I don't recall ever in the past really picking my Celtic team before a game based on the team we're playing and who is better for that role, because traditionally I've always just had my first 11 as a Celtic fan, but now I see that changing. Just because
the game's kind of evolved a wee bit as well, so you're looking at, there is problem times where you're looking at kind of plastic pitches where it was at the weekend as well. So that comes into your thinking, that maybe change your mind of who you're picking. There is maybe tough away European games that we're going to play, like Atalanta, like Dortmund that we played. So
that's a tough place to go as well.
So that obviously comes down to form as well. But if you're asking me, I think 90% of the time, if we're playing normal kind of domestic games, for me the strongest three would be Cal McGregor, Engels and Hatate. But that's no disputing the fact that I think Bernardo and McCowan have done sensationally well. I think they've done brilliantly well, and that's shown in the strength that we've got and the depth of the squad. And that's just my personal opinion, but I totally agree with you. I think there is different games that call for for different players.
And I would enlarge on it a wee bit because I probably agree with you. Right. I probably, all things being equal, Engels, McGregor, Hatate probably has our strongest midfield. But on a game-by-game basis, if I think about Celtic at home against maybe a team in the bottom 3 or 4, I think McCown's maybe a better option than Engels in that game.
Yeah.
Just because he's more likely to score you a goal, he's that wee bit more creative in the final third. We're probably going to play most of the game up there. Whereas
he gives you a
Engels,
different level of work rate as well, doesn't he? You've seen him in
he's more likely to have a dig.
He's more likely to have a shot. He's more likely to open the door.
He was on the pitch right away, and as soon as he was on the pitch, he was right up against Mackay-Steven. Mackay-Steven was having a moan at him, and McCown pointed at him and says to him, well, you're pulling me, so I'm going to have a go at you if you're doing that to me. So if you don't like it, don't do it back. Simple as. But McCown's got that, for me, he's got that aggression in him that I just feel, as you're saying, he brings a difference.
It's something different, but again, you know, when we talk about squad, you have to look at the ability to bring substitutes on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we
do you think the 5 changes the game as well?
I think that's helped all the bigger clubs. I think no doubt about it. But being able to bring players on, based on their qualities for that game. So he brought Yang on against Leipzig, and there was a few raised eyebrows that he brought Yang on to that game. But pace. So, and it suited that game. So. But this is all on how Brendan's built the squad. He's built it in a way that it's adaptive for all the challenges that we're going to face in a season.
Yang did do well that game. I was the first one to admit in that podcast. I came out and says, look, he's not good enough for Celtic. And Ryan still remains that. I'm still seeing that just now.
I don't think he's good enough.
I still think that you don't get that for one game, but you need to see that for a prolonged period.
No, but what I will say, if you're bringing him on in a game in that magnitude, when you've got James Forrest sitting there who's an absolute legend for the club, that says something in itself.
It was his pace though.
But Forrest is quick as well.
My point with the squad depth is when we're looking at that, those wing positions, right? You look how good that Maida and Kuhn. Absolutely sensational, both of them. Very, very important parts of our team.
Yeah.
Forrest is maybe getting on a bit. Celtic legend, can't thank him enough for everything, and he still will give you a good performance. But does Forrest, Yang and Palmer come anywhere near that quality? See the depth? See in the wing positions, does Forrest, Palmer or Yang compare to Kuhn or Maida?
Well, what I will say,
me.
what I can say, obviously seeing it with my own eyes and being at the game last Tuesday, if Yang is going to perform to the level he came on the pitch at on that Tuesday night against Leipzig, then I'm afraid there is no drop-off in terms of intensity. We couldn't, because he substituted him off to bring him on.
We're going to need to see that for a number of months before we can make a judgment on that.
Granted, but what I'm saying is, that level of Yang, there's no worry.
No, but I think that was a crafty substitution for Brendan. And it goes back to the whole players' individual qualities and what suits particular games, and that includes substitutions. Yang was tailor-made for that game because Leipzig were pressing us high, we had a 2-goal cushion, there was plenty of space, there was no pressure.
That's why he doesn't play a lot in Scotland, because there's too much a low block getting played against
I just think his main asset is pace.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't really have great technique. He doesn't really shoot from outside the box. Doesn't cut in the pitch as well as maybe a Palmer.
He was unlucky not to score against Leipzig.
It was, and look, I think there's certainly some qualities there. I mean, his pace being the main one.
Yeah.
But I'm with Alan. I don't think I would want to rely on Yang. For me, when I look at the squad, the areas that you would ideally like to improve upon is the right back position.
Yeah.
Because AJ, you know, God forbid he get any prolonged injury, I wouldn't want to see Tony Ralston in the team over any period of time. As much as I love Tony Ralston, I love his endeavour, I just wouldn't want to see him in the team over a period of time. And the same for the wide positions. I think Kuhn and Maeda are such a high standard that if one of them was to come out of the team, I think the drop-off's too big. So that will be the areas I think Brendan will be looking at improving upon.
So you think it would be the wide position then
right
he's
back,
going to be looking? Right.
Somebody who helps in the right back position, and it might be somebody that's versatile. He might look at somebody that's versatile. But
who can also play centre-back.
Can also maybe play centre-back.
Like Juranovic played both sides as well, possibly like that. But
and a winger.
you look as well, see if we come up against Aston Villa, right, and it just so happened with suspensions or injuries that Maida was out, Kuhn was out, and Alistair Johnston was out, and we put Ralston in, Palmer and Yang.
We can't play the same way.
We'd be pulling our hair out, and Ryan would be doing a Costco review with trailer loads of bleach.
No, I get that.
I know.
There's a drop off of our level of performance right away, because that's. Do we have an option, by the way, to you can let us know in the comments if this is the case. When the January window opens, the Aston Villa game's after that, so do we have an option to add to that squad to then come into the...
I think as long as they've not played at Champions League.
But the players are registered for that time, so I don't know if it's after the Villa game. I'm sure it is that. And then the playoffs, you can make a couple of additions, like wild cards, etc.
On the right-back position, and this isn't me just plucking this out of thin air, Valle played pre-season at Barcelona at right-back. He played in the El Clasico at right back.
Yeah,
so it's another option.
It's an option.
Do we think we're going to lose Valle in January? Because there's been these murmurs that Barcelona. I don't even know if there's a recall option in his loan
most
deal.
of the time there will be a kind of financial penalty that Barcelona would need to pay, but there's no smoke without fire, and usually when a reliable journalist like Stephen McGowan's kind of putting his name to that kind of story, that's a possibility, then I would tend to believe that it could be a possibility.
I do know that Hansi Flick is fed up with a lad that's been playing at left back now, because he's apparently out of sorts.
Well, I would hope to God that we've got a contingency plan that's going to especially be tailored. There's no signed a contract yet, so I'm sure we should have kind of 3 or 4 left backs on our radar that we could kind of press the button on at any point that if need be.
Well, John Baird was chatting with us on the channel, and John was telling us that Celtic will have a list of probably 5 players for every single position. That's the way Celtic operate. So John's speaking from, I think, an informed opinion there. I don't think that's just a guess, you know. So, I mean, if you're saying about 3 or 4, so you're looking at that, then certainly.
I'm just kind of surmising, I'm just guessing, but I would think that I would like to see more of Valle. Do I think Valle will stay with Celtic longer term? I've said before, I don't think so. I think he may see himself not at a bigger club, but maybe in a bigger league. Will that be kind of Serie A, will that be La Liga or the EPL, Bundesliga, etc.? Just get that feeling. I hope I'm wrong, because he does look a very kind of decent player. He looks a tidy player. Also a certain Argentinian that could be heading back our way, so we might need to worry about
especially with the money that Celtic are asking for, Barry.
Well, seemingly, I mean, I've not watched him, so I've heard he's playing some fantastic football.
He set up some really good goals for the. Remember the lad Borry used to play with Frankfurt? He played against the mob across the city in the final. So he's with them.
Well, Brendan Rodgers has been prone in the past to bring players back from loan. Chris Ayer comes to mind, and put them into the team. So I wouldn't rule it out.
Do we think Brendan's watching Bernabei?
No, he'll be getting reports. He'll be getting reports. I think Bernabei, for past experience, be seeing him. I think he's in the Celtic team. No, I think he plays like a lunatic. That's the way he plays. He's just like, honestly, he plays
so
like, oh no, you're like...
Unless he's went away and matured overnight, then who knows?
Had a lobotomy or something.
Because he certainly had that kind of low centre of gravity, didn't he? And a good
he looked decent going forward when he had the ball, but some of the things are at, it's probably one of the best terms
you can use. Look at the one in Japan where he chases a lad the full line for the pitch. Once the ball goes and scores.
He had that tenacity though, that Argentinian dog in him, didn't he?
He did.
What I would say though, on the whole recruitment thing and whether Valle stays or goes, we don't really know. I mean, Brendan sort of quashed any rumours about that, didn't he? But he's going to do that, isn't he?
Aye.
But I think with his bringing Paul Tisdale into the club, you're now looking at his job, his remit is to be identifying these kind of things. So one conversation with Brendan to him to say, look, a chance we're going to lose Valle, go and scour and look for a left back for me.
Yeah.
So, and you look at our recruitment in the summer there, as much as we all had our panic over the summer about certain positions, but all's well that ends well. We got the right players in, and it's one of the best windows we've had. So I would trust the process in January. I think Celtic will be looking at bringing in one or two players, regardless if all the squad's fit, everybody's available. I still think there'll be one or two players being identified.
Well, I personally feel that window, as Baz says there, Alan, was one of the most enjoyable transfer windows I've watched Celtic go through in a lot. Albeit, by the way, we had to wait to the end.
I wouldn't really say enjoyable. I'd go right at the end.
But for me personally, folks, I really feel that it was the most enjoyable window we've had
at the end of it.
Aye.
Even at the end. But listen, I've said to you lads before, it doesn't matter if it happens in the first day or the last hour. I don't care. As long as you get the right people in, they come in and they do the job that you're asking them to do.
As you said that John Baird says, if you says 3 or 4, right? If it goes on that long, you're looking at how far down that list are we that we're spending at the last kind of minutes of the transfer window. That I know that's what we're worried about.
What I will say is quality not worth waiting for though if you get it right.
Do you know what it is? See, because we are not involved in the process.
We don't know it.
See, if we were in the building, right, and spoke to Brendan, this, that, and the other, they probably would have put their mind at ease. But we don't know.
Good point.
Look, if we're in for a signing, right, we could wait for the last minute, and you might be right that we've waited to get that number 1 player that we wanted, or I could be right and we could have been through, not back for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're right down at the bottom of the list.
And back to Tony
But
Warner
we'll not know. But we don't know that. They're not going to come out. Brendan's not going to come out. We signed this left back, but it was the 6th person I wanted.
Started off trying to get Lennon Mother, and then we got David Tanner.
Another question I was going to, we obviously seen, was it last year before with Turnbull, right? We chose to cash in with David Turnbull without him gone. Does that happen with Greg Taylor if he does sign a new deal? Well, does that mean we need 2 left backs? This is a lot of questions that can happen over the next couple of months.
Again, we can speculate, but probably if we knew, if we were behind the scenes and we were privy to everything that was going on.
In terms of Taylor, do you think it's at a time now, or we're approaching that time now, that we need to know where both parties are sitting?
This is my position on Greg Taylor, right? Brendan Rodgers has waxed lyrical about Greg Taylor. He called him a specialist before that Leipzig game. Brendan Rodgers is a huge fan of Greg Taylor, and he's put his name to it that he wants Taylor to stay. So if Celtic lose Taylor, it's going to be down to 2 things. 1, Greg Taylor wants to go, or 2, the board aren't giving him the contract or the terms that he wants. So I think looking at it from that point of view, Celtic need to secure Greg Taylor because Brendan sees him as an important part of the squad. Now, whether Brendan has got ambitions to replace Greg Taylor as first choice, that might be the case. But certainly he sees Greg Taylor as a really important player in the squad. So why has it took so long is the question, because the club have been brilliant at signing our players on healthy contracts recently, and they've done it swiftly. So why has it took so long?
I'm going to answer that quite quickly and then I'll bring you in. I want Greg Taylor to stay, and I think Greg Taylor deserves a new deal.
If Greg Taylor refuses to sign a new deal, whether it be personal choices, whether it be Celtic and they don't value him to the extent that he values himself or wage-wise, if he refuses a new deal, do we wait and he goes for free in the summer, or do you sell him and get him a year or 2 in?
That's a different thing. That's a different thing. So if Greg Taylor then isn't going to, if he doesn't want to stay, then for me there's only, that's, he's not going to have him hanging about.
But there is lots of players that you do let 100% stay on to the summer.
Do you know what
as
I would
well.
say? It depends on how much Celtic would get for him. So David Turnbull wasn't a critical player in the squad at the time. And we got good money for him.
$2 million.
So Greg Taylor is a critical player in the squad. So if you're going to get $1 million, $2 million from him, I probably wouldn't take it.
Does that
I'd keep him to the end of the season. You've got to kind of weigh that up. I think
here's a question I would ask. See with Greg Taylor. See when Greg Taylor's not in the team, the Celtic miss him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for me, 100%. No brainer.
Depending on the replacement. I think before Valle came in and Valle started showing the levels of his kind of performances, I would agree that we probably missed Taylor. But I'd probably say Valle's starting to look like a wee bit of an upgrade on Greg Taylor. So now I would say with Missile, I think that probably Valle is slightly better for me, and I think that Valle has definitely got the potential to surpass that.
What I would think though with Valle is we would need to see it over another period of time before we can really. Because for me, Greg Taylor's done it for years.
Aye.
You know, he's been there. He's not. This isn't his first rodeo, and this isn't his first manager he's played under either.
Do you know what it comes back to as well though? It kind of comes back to what do you like? Yeah. What's your preference? Because Valle is more orthodox as a left back, isn't he? Yeah. He's certainly a better one-on-one defender than Taylor. Yeah. Unquestionable.
His one-on-one duels are really good.
And at European level, Valle transitions better. When he's turning and having to run back away, I'd much rather have Valle than Taylor. Yeah. But Taylor, those qualities, those ability to come in the pitch, you know, his football IQ, he keeps the ball moving, he keeps it ticking over. A lot of his work goes unnoticed, but not to somebody like Brendan, who understands football at a much higher level.
Even anyone that pays attention to the game. I mean, you look at the semi-final. The reason he's speaking to Michael Stewart that after the game, the reason he brings Greg Taylor on, he mentioned to clean up the game. Yeah. We were losing the ball was getting sloppy. I brought him on to clean up the passing because he's a very good technician, he's a very good passer of the ball. And anybody that refuses to see that, I just find it totally
The original question was, do we miss Taylor? And for me now, because we've got that quality value, I don't think so.
I would agree with
and
that.
I'm no disrespecting Greg Taylor. I think he would be at a higher level as a squad player than Anthony Ralston. I think he would be a great I think he'd be a great squad player. Do I think that Celtic could maybe get the level of value or something a bit above in the January or summer? I think that's well within the realms of possibility. It's well within our capabilities to go out and get a player, a left back that's possibly at a higher level than Greg Taylor, but just to re-emphasise that again, it's no down in Greg Taylor. He's a great squad player for us, and I would like him to sign a new deal. Whether that's to be a kind of consistent starter, he'll always get game time, and he'll always be kind of in about the squad.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
He just doesn't have that physicality and athleticism that the modern game kind of demands. Yeah. And he does make up for it to some extent with his football ability and inverting in the pitch. But I'm with Alan. I think Celtic could improve in that area, as same as the right back position in terms of squad. You could improve on Tony Ralston and then the wide areas as well. So, I mean, you do need to be quite ruthless in football, don't you? Because it's about winning, but
it's a ruthless game. It's a ruthless sport. I'm going to move us on now onto the next bit just before we finish off. I want to talk about Celtic's performance levels from the start of the season, even pre-season, right up to now. We've only lost one game. Barry, I don't know about you, mate, but that is absolutely phenomenal.
Delighted, absolutely delighted. Delighted with how the team are playing. Delighted with the results, obviously. Feel really optimistic about our Champions League goals. I feel really optimistic about domestically. I'm enjoying watching the team. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying...
These international breaks are coming at the wrong time, aren't they? Because we're just getting into a flow and then...
Yeah, true.
Maybe look, after the performance at the weekend, I think we spoke about, I think that gives us a time to kind of rejuvenate, reset, go for it again.
I get that, but for me that game, Alan, was always going to be that way because of the week we've just had with the semi-final, and then everything goes into the games are a wee bit more technically, whereas that one was so you roll your sleeves up and you're going to have to fight.
On that, I'm glad you brought that up because I would like to comment on that. I think we've became accustomed for Brendan's first time, and Ange Postecoglou took it to new levels with the style of football, and I would say Brendan's reached those levels, if not surpassed them this season with the football we're playing. And I would just caution the Celtic fans not to expect it every game, because that game at Kilmarnock on the plastic pitch,
it's not possible every game.
And that's one of the hardest fixtures domestically, and we went there and won 2-0. And okay, it wasn't convincing, right? And Kilmarnock had chances. We relied on Kasper Schmeichel to make a really big save in that second half, but we went backs to the wall, and we created plenty of chances, and we came out at clean sheet, 2-0, we're away, we've got the 3 points. So it's amazing to watch Celtic playing such good football, but let's accept as Celtic fans that there's going to be times where we're going to just get the job done and that'll be enough.
I don't know if you agree, but I think that's the difference between this time last year and this time just now.
100%.
Now, last year we had a lot of kind of performances that people were going, this doesn't look great here, and we're going, but that finally kind of came up that we get beat twice in a row. Whereas this year, I'd say about 90-95% of our performances have been surpassed any of that. It's been at very, very high levels. It's been brilliant to watch, absolutely incredible. And it just so happens the couple of games that we've maybe dropped off the performance, we've still picked up the wins. So it gets worrying when you see performance after performance after performance like that. But that's not been the case this year. This year, in comparison to last year, we have seen that a high percentage of our performances have been at a top level. And when we've been off it, we've still managed to pick up points as well. You maybe say the Aberdeen game as well, the second half, that the performance maybe dipped 10, we still managed to get a point as well, which...
And we battered them the last 15 minutes, didn't we? I mean, we really...
So it's... but in reflection, I think it just reverts back to what we were speaking about previously, and it's the squad depth. Yeah. So in comparison to last year to now, you're looking at the squad depth we've got, and that's how we can kind of continue to keep up that level of performance over a longer period. And Barry's spot on. We spoke about it the other night as well. They're human beings. They're never ever. We all have off days. We can't always perform to our best. Yeah. But you're seeing that the high majority of the time they are actually performing to their best, and that's showing the kind of the strength and the depth of quality that we've got within the first 11 and within the squad. And hopefully we kick on January window and the summer window, and maybe iron out a few of the parts of the squad that we feel add depth, like we spoke about earlier.
And see on that as well, JP, I don't know if you agree with us, but at this moment in time, the board, the manager, the players and the fans are all united. Yeah. So Celtic are at their absolute strongest because there isn't any disharmony anywhere. You know, everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet, so long may that continue.
What do you think that's down to though? Because last
probably
season
what we all went through last year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Last season we saw there was a big gap between us.
There was a lot of turmoil, and Alan's right in what he said. Like, a lot of that was down to the continuous kind of performances where they just weren't up to the standard. I felt last season that the Celtic fans didn't really give Brendan and the team enough room for error during that season, because it was always going to be difficult. Yeah. Coming in under the circumstances, how he left previously, taking over Ange, who was, you know, he was lauded by the Celtic fans. So I just thought it was time. But I would say, when you come through something like that, when you come through a battle,
it makes you strong.
It makes you stronger.
Together,
and I think that's what's happened. I think it's the worst thing that could have happened to our biggest rivals. It's the worst thing that could have happened because it galvanised us all. It brought us all together.
Not only that as well, but we also, I mean, for as long as I heard last season, the Celtic team are poor and they're doing this, they're doing, but we won and won the double. Yeah. You know, and
didn't lose a derby.
And we beat our biggest rivals in the final.
So it was probably the last 8 games that we started seeing how Brendan was changing things, right? So before that, we couldn't really pinpoint a number of games that we gone, oh, you played well a few games in a row. We're kind of crawling through a few results.
It was
it's still brilliant. I know it's
so. Do you know what I think's changed though, lads? And I don't know if you'll agree with me. One, the transfer window, the way it went, how the Celtic fans saw the Celtic board backing Brendan and having belief in Brendan to go and bring in the players that he identified and paid the money they done for it. Not only that, I've seen a big difference in the Celtic fans since Celtic released that documentary. Because now we understand as a fan base what's going on in there and the way that they're doing things and how, what it looks like when they're in the dressing room, what it looks like when they're together as a team, and what Brendan's saying to them, McGregor's saying to them, to go out and perform for us, because at the end of the day, we're there watching them. So they're going out and they're battling every week for us. And sometimes it's not easy, they've not had it easy, you know.
We talk about narratives and that, but there is one that the Celtic board have maybe spun our way, and that is that we've spent all this money. And it's been smart because the Matt O'Reilly money basically covered all that.
Yeah.
But that's got all the fans on board. Like, no, we've come out and spent £9.5 million.
Don't tell everybody that. Don't tell all the fans that.
He's one of the not a bad thing. He's just grassed him in there.
But I just hope that it puts us in a better position. I hope it puts us in a better position come January, come the summer, that even if we don't sell a big player, that we've still got that money there, but we can invest in Brendan, because the players that he's brought in just now, he's starting to show that he's reliable to invest in. Invest in the manager, let him bring in different parts of the squad, and what we're seeing this year, that can continue year on year on year, and we sell a player now whether it be every year, we sell one of the bigger players.
But we're in a position
but then we bring in somebody else.
Yeah, but we're also in a position where one of the windows, remember, we don't need to sell somebody, but we can still
don't need to, but I don't think we ever need to sell a player. I think it's just the value. If that value is met, if the player's kind of looking to go, that's the only time that we'll do that.
Do you think there's been an example set there properly by Brendan and the club, with the whole way the transfer dealing of Matt O'Reilly was in the summer there?
Well, see, the player trading model, for me, we probably do have to sell a player every season or run about that. Now, not because it would impact us financially, but because for the club to continue to grow.
Yes.
For the club to keep evolving, I think that's what we ideally would do. Sorry, what was your question?
I was saying, I know we're having that much of a good chat, we're forgetting the questions here. No, what I was saying was, do you think that the club have now set an example the way they dealt with the Matt O'Reilly? Because listen, we could have cashed in with Atletico Madrid in a £22 million bid. We could have cashed in on Atalanta in a £20 million bid when they put that in for Matt O'Reilly. But we hung off and Brighton went, they're not going to lower it here, they're not going to come down. There you go, there's the money. Boom, deal's done.
I think it goes back to what Alan was saying in terms of the board respecting Brendan and giving him his wishes within reason, because Brendan said publicly, I know Matt O'Reilly's value. I've managed in the Premier League, I know exactly what Matt O'Reilly's worth. Now, he's obviously went to the board and said, here's the figure, that's what Matt O'Reilly's worth, don't sell him for anything less than that. Yeah. And the board have respected it, and we need that as fans, we need to see that. So the most exciting part for me is the Arne Engels transfer, because for me, Celtic to spend that amount of money on a player means that they're looking at developing him somewhere down the line, bringing in bigger money. Aye,
so we're looking at an upper echelon now for the Matt O'Reilly.
And I know a lot of times on the podcast last year, there was a lot of us were talking about that kind of thing, about the so-called development players, you know, that Celtic really need to try and go a wee bit beyond that. The Arne Engels signing for me, I hope, is the beginning of that tweak and how we go and get these development players that you can go and get them from big leagues. I mean, that was the Bundesliga we got Arne Engels from. That we can go to big leagues, pay reasonably big money for what we've got, but you're hoping that you can develop them. And in an ideal world, I would imagine the blueprint for Arne Engels is bring him in, have him for a season and a half, 2 seasons, and sell him for 35, 40 million.
That should be the progression.
I think Barry's spot on there. I don't think you see that many times, do you? A player for the Bundesliga coming to Scotland. It's not happened very often.
Aye, no, I'm trying to think for recent years.
For that amount of money?
No, for that amount of money. Obviously, it's a lower kind of side.
We saw Jeremy Frimpong going the other way for a similar deal. But
I think it should be a progression, right? I'm not the utmost kind of business manager or know the finances toward with Celtic to a massive degree, but the progression should be for bringing in somebody for 10 million, you sell somebody for 30 million, what Matt O'Reilly, you bring somebody in for 10 million and Arne Engels, right? You maybe sell him, I'm just saying numbers, right? If cool, you add another 5-10 million if you sell 35, your next player, whoever that is. Then that next step, we bring in somebody for 15 and we progress that and we see what level we can possibly get to, and that's how we grow the club. 100%. And for nobody that wants to ever clip me, I've no saying that we're going to get 35 million for anybody, except if you're selling me.
That's how he's still here, we can't get rid of him. Well, nobody want to pay that amount of money from him.
Monopoly money.
Obviously, just to summarise before we finish, we've seen great performances, we've seen this, we've seen that. It's an international break now, mate, so what's your thoughts going into these breaks? Are you always quite wary with this in terms of, I don't want anybody getting injured, because if you look at CCV, look at problems we've had, it can create a whole load of mess, in my opinion. I'm a wee bit, oh no, they're all away, and you know who the ones are. Engels is a baby Belgium, and he's a baby, Trusty's a baby America, and Scales has gone to Ireland. I know Big Adam Ida's pulled out the ROI squad as well because of, I think he's wanting to stay and try and get fit. I think this ankle problem for the Motherwell games still playing on him.
Missed a flight.
Either that or he's got a right. So I've been off for that elbow that he had at the weekend. But all in all, what do you think when the international break comes?
Well, probably like everybody else, you just don't want anybody to get injured. That's the sort of main thought that you get into these international breaks with. I love football and I'm pretty much obsessed with Celtic, but I don't love international football. Honestly, I can take it or leave it. I will watch the big games, I will watch Scotland, but not with the same passion I watch Celtic. So for me, it's just hurry up and get the break over with so we can get Celtic back on.
The Nations League's basically a glorified friendly. I know there's back doors to get into different competitions, but you even look at, it was England a couple of days ago, 8 players have withdrawn for the squad.
Yep.
Yeah.
8 players, right? That's no coincidence. That's 8 people been locked down with the same bus or something. It's no coincidence at all. They're obviously just wanting a rest, and they're not seeing these games as important as probably whether that be kind of World Cup qualifiers, etc. So for me, it is a bit tedious watching these kind of games when you know.
It's all the travel now as well, isn't it? It's all the
You look
travel.
at Rio Atati, he's travelled all over the world there. The last two transfer windows, the last 2 international breaks, and he has not even kicked a ball. Apart from a game of 5 or 6, his mates in the team. So,
Scotland with 1 point, we're at the top of scale people mountain now. It's just like, I know we've kind of been promoted to the A-League and the UEFA Nations League, whatever it's called, right? But so then you're going against kind of top opposition, and again, it's not nice to kind of get scalped constantly like that. So we talked about formats at the beginning of the show with the Champions League. I'm not so sure that Nations League works for me. No. I think that's on the opposite side. That doesn't work for me.
I mean, Scotland have had a lot of success coming from that, though, because I had a chat with Barry Bannon about this, and I said, Baz, see, when you played, you didn't even have that help. You guys get flung into the deep end against Germany, Poland, France, all the kind of teams you were constantly playing against.
I think the fan basis, it doesn't work for me. I'm saying, obviously it worked for Scotland, getting kind of different teams qualifying for major tournaments, but for me, I don't think the nations take it as seriously maybe as the other qualifiers.
I agree with you.
You see the amount of players that kind of pull it out constantly. I don't mean to know. Do I think that honestly there could well be? Do I think there's anything wrong with them? Probably no. It's probably I'm going to meet in Dubai or something. I might be right, Adam. If I'm on,
come on.
If it was a major tournament, I think Ida would be going with
Ireland. And you see it constantly. You do see it. You see it constantly with every kind of nation as well. So for me, it could work getting into a major championship, but for kind of watching it on a fan basis, for me, it's just I'm not a big fan, to be honest.
Yeah, fine. And last, obviously, just now we're going to finish up. Callum McGregor, he gets a good rest. Do you think it's well needed?
Yeah, I'm really glad McGregor made that decision. I am, and as much as I want to see Scotland win as much as the next person, and Callum McGregor helps Scotland to win football matches, but Celtic come first for me, and I'm glad that he gets this time off, because he doesn't get rested very much, does he? So it's definitely was delighted when McGregor made that decision.
James McFadden says he was disheartened to hear the news that Callum McGregor retired, Alan, but as a Celtic fan, mate, that's all we care about really, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously we all support Scotland as well, but #1 priority for us is Celtic. And if Callum McGregor retiring a couple of years early for international football, if that could prolong his Celtic career and the level that he's playing for another year or two, then I'm on board with that. I think it benefits Celtic more, and if you had to give me a straight choice between Celtic or Scotland, it's only one choice we're picking here. So to have Cal McGregor captain us for potentially a longer period of time because of international retirement, for a Celtic fan, I believe that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say as well, just to final up, I think Callum McGregor will come back to Celtic after those breaks all the more enthusiastic to play as well.
Yeah.
So you get that benefit as well. He'll be really looking forward to his football again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And to you guys, the viewers, thank you very much for tuning in with us today. Thanks to yourself to come in person.
Absolute pleasure.
Have a chat with us. Alan, it's good to see you always, mate.
Hungry Dory.
And you folks, I know it's gloom as Celtic aren't playing now. It is the international break, but
get us the beauty of it.
That, by the way, that's one way to survive an international break, 100%. But no, I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the channel. If you're new, please hit the like and subscribe. It's totally free. We'll be indebted to you, but it also allows you to become a member of the Unrestricted View family, as we call ourselves here. But above all else, take care, have a lovely weekend when it comes. We'll be back probably later on in the week. If not, it'll be the dial-in. But above all else, hail, hail lads.
Hail, hail.
Here we are.
Take it easy folks, and we will see you again. Bye bye.